The frigid winter night enveloped the suburban neighborhood in a blanket of silence, interrupted only by the occasional rustling of branches swaying under the weight of frost. Street lights flickered, casting an eerie glow on the unplowed sidewalks, and the air was filled with a biting cold that seemed to seep into every corner of the block. Through frosted windows, warm lights spilled from opulent homes, illuminating lavish decorations that celebrated the season, a stark reminder of comfort amid chaos. Inside one such grand residence, families nestled around fireplaces, their laughter echoing through luxuriously furnished rooms adorned with holiday cheer. Yet outside, just a few streets away, shadows loomed over a child lost in the dark. The child, unaware of their privilege, peeked around a corner, eyes wide with both wonder and fear. They had wandered from their home, a place filled with affluence yet lacking in understanding. As snowflakes began to drift lazily from the sky, each flake caught in the light seemed to whisper secrets of warmth and safety just beyond reach. The child's breath formed small clouds in the icy air. Their little bodies shivered against the cold as they instinctively sought solace in familiarity, their parents' voices echoing faintly in memories long gone. This winter night was more than just cold. It was a crucible where innocence met uncertainty. It was here that paths would soon cross, where a young nurse's heart and commitment would guide her through this unforeseen challenge while highlighting life's fragility amidst privilege. In those chilling moments, destinies were intertwined, waiting for courage to thaw the ice that separated them all. Amidst the stillness of the winter night, a young nurse named Emily finished her shift at the local hospital, the warmth of her scrubs contrasting sharply with the chill creeping into her bones. With a degree in pediatric nursing and a specialization in working with children with special needs, she had always felt drawn to those who faced the world with unique challenges. Emily's commitment to this calling ran deep, fueled by memories of her younger brother, who had battled autism before passing away at an early age. His struggles instilled in her a profound sense of empathy, one that she carried into every patient encounter. As she made her way home, downtown lights reflecting off the fresh snow, Emily often thought about how society tended to overlook vulnerable individuals in favor of those who could easily blend in. Her dedication to nurturing and protecting these often forgotten souls rendered her both tireless and compassionate. Each day spent caring for children in the hospital reinforced her resolve to make a difference in their lives, infusing hope where it was often absent. As she passed familiar streets, the shadows of frosted leaves danced along the roads, whispering stories of empathy she lived by. Little did she know on this night her journey would take an unexpected turn, calling upon her skills and heart more than ever before. The world outside began to blur as she sensed something amiss, reminding her that her role as a caregiver extended beyond hospital walls, and challenges awaited in the very neighborhoods she served. Just a few streets away, nestled in the lavish confines of a sprawling mansion, lived 7-year-old Alex, a child whose world was a mosaic of colors and sounds that often overwhelmed him. Diagnosed with autism at an early age, Alex experienced life differently. Simple tasks like putting on shoes or enduring a crowded room could feel insurmountable. His family, affluent and well-connected, prided themselves on their social status but struggled to understand the complexities of Alex's needs. Around them were modern conveniences and luxury, private tutors, therapists, and engaging activities, but none of these could truly bridge the gap between their wealth and the emotional distance that sometimes left Alex feeling isolated. Despite their efforts to provide every material comfort, the family often found themselves at a loss when it came to connecting with him on a deeper level. The expectations of perfection weighed heavily on his parents, who believed that their financial resources could solve every issue, failing to recognize that emotional support and understanding were equally crucial. On that winter night, while his parents hosted an elegant gathering indoors, laughter echoed through halls adorned with opulence. Unbeknownst to them, Alex had slipped away into the night, overwhelmed by the chaos around him. As he wandered through the cold streets, his mind raced with confusion and fear, each unfamiliar sound magnified in his ears. The warmth of his home felt like a distant memory as he sought safety beyond the confines of luxury that had become stifling instead of nurturing. As the evening unfolded, the opulent gathering inside Alex's home buzzed with laughter and conversation, yet the noise felt deafening to him. His parents, caught up in socializing with their affluent friends, failed to notice the subtle signs of distress that flickered across his face. Overwhelmed by the laughter and chatter, Alex sought refuge in a quiet corner of the house. But even there, the commotion seeped into his thoughts, amplifying his anxiety. Feeling trapped in a world filled with vibrant colors and overwhelming sounds, he longed for peace, a space where he could breathe without pressure. In that moment of desperation, a sense of urgency propelled him to escape. Unbeknownst to his parents who were preoccupied with their guests, Alex slipped out through a side door, driven by an instinctual need to find solace. The cold air hit him like a slap, sharp and invigorating, yet it also felt like freedom. He wandered into the night, leaving behind the cacophony of the party and stepping into the tranquil stillness of the winter landscape. However, as he ventured further away from home, the reality of his situation began to sink in. Each step into the dark streets filled him with both exhilaration and trepidation. He was free yet lost. The luxurious world he had known flickered in his mind like a distant memory, replaced by the stark realization that despite his family's wealth, they had not equipped him with the tools to navigate his emotions. In that moment of flight, Alex was not just escaping a physical space. He was seeking understanding and safety in a world that often felt too large and too loud for him. Emily finished her shift at the hospital, the fluorescent lights dimming as she gathered her belongings, ready to escape the sterile environment for the warmth of home. The day had been long, filled with the laughter and tears of children navigating their own battles, which weighed heavily on her heart. Each child she cared for reminded her of her brother, fueling her commitment to make a difference in their lives. As she stepped outside, the biting winter air greeted her, causing her to shiver and draw her coat tighter around her. Driving through the quiet, snow-covered streets, Emily's thoughts drifted back to families struggling in silence, those who felt alone in their challenges despite their outward appearances. She passed familiar houses adorned with shimmering lights and beautiful decorations, each one housing stories of joy and hardship. It was a stark reminder that wealth did not guarantee happiness or understanding. Many affluent families still faced daunting emotional battles behind closed doors. As snowflakes danced across her windshield, Emily found herself thinking of her patients, particularly those with special needs who often felt overlooked. She recalled the small victories of helping a frightened child smile or easing a parent's worry, moments that filled her with purpose. However, on this night, an unsettling feeling tugged at her intuition, as if something significant awaited her beyond the confines of her routine. The urgency to reach home mixed with an inexplicable sense that her journey was not yet over, urging her to remain alert to whatever lay ahead in the frosty darkness. As Emily navigated the winding streets, her headlights cut through the swirling snowflakes, illuminating the quiet neighborhood. Suddenly, a movement caught her eye, a small figure huddled at the edge of a driveway, shivering against the biting cold. Her heart raced as she recognized the unmistakable outline of a child, alone and vulnerable against the backdrop of the darkened street. Pulling over to the side, Emily's instincts kicked in. The child looked to be no more than 7 years old, dressed inadequately for the winter chill, their face pale and eyes wide with confusion. Alarm surged through her. She could sense the fear radiating from him even from a distance. Without hesitation, she opened her car door and stepped out into the brisk air, her breath visible in the frosty night. "Hey there," she called gently, approaching with steady but careful steps. The child flinched slightly at her voice but did not run away. Instead, he looked up at her with eyes that sparkled with fear and uncertainty, a reflection of his chaotic surroundings. Emily knelt down to meet him at eye level, ensuring her presence felt less intimidating. "Are you lost?" she asked softly, her voice laced with warmth and concern. The boy shivered, wrapping his arms around himself as if trying to shield against both the cold and his anxiety. In that moment, Emily felt a surge of determination. She knew she had to help this child find safety and comfort whatever it took. Time was of the essence, and she was resolute in ensuring he wouldn't face this night alone. Kneeling down to Alex's eye level, Emily extended her hand slowly, palm open, to convey that she meant no harm. Recognizing the signs of anxiety reflected in his wide eyes, she kept her voice soft and soothing. "It's okay, I'm here to help you," she said gently, hoping to ease some of his fear. "Are you lost?" she asked, maintaining a calm demeanor, aware that sudden movements or loud noises could startle him further. She remembered her training. Children with autism often responded better to familiar routines and predictable interactions. The key was to be patient and give him space to respond in his own time. Alex hesitated, his body trembling in the cold air as he watched her cautiously. Emily took a moment to observe him closely, noticing how he wrapped his arms tightly around himself, as if trying to find comfort in his own embrace. "I know it's really cold out here," she continued, "but you're not alone anymore. I can help you get back home." She reached for her phone, careful not to make any abrupt movements. "Let's make sure we find your family," she suggested, her voice filled with warmth and reassurance. "Can you tell me your name?" As he glanced up at her, uncertainty still etched on his face. Something in Emily's steady gaze seemed to resonate with him. It was a flicker of trust, the first step toward bridging the gap between fear and safety. In that moment, Emily felt gratitude for the training that guided her. She knew this exchange was not just about words but about creating a safe haven amidst the storm of emotions swirling around them both. With Alex now more receptive, Emily took a moment to assess his physical condition and emotional state. She noticed that he was shivering violently, his teeth chattering as the cold air penetrated his thin clothing. She could see the redness of his cheeks, signs that he had been outside too long without proper warmth. In that instant, her instincts kicked in to consider her next steps carefully. "Let's get you warmed up," she said softly, taking off her coat and gently draping it around him. As she did this, she looked into his eyes, trying to gauge his feelings. His gaze was still filled with confusion and a touch of fear, but there was a glimmer of relief as he began to feel the warmth enveloping him. Emily noted the signs of distress etched on his face. She understood he was fearful not just of the cold but likely of being away from home. "You're very brave for coming out here," she reassured him, maintaining a calm demeanor to soothe his anxiety. To help distract him from the frigid environment, she asked questions about his favorite game or toy, giving him an opportunity to focus on something familiar and comforting. As they spoke, Emily quickly pulled out her phone to look up the nearest police station and contact local authorities for assistance. It was essential to act fast while ensuring Alex felt safe and secure beside her. With each passing moment, she felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility. She had to ensure that their next steps would lead not only to safety but also towards understanding and empathy for the child who had faced so much alone during this bitter winter night. With Alex now wrapped in her coat, Emily quickly dialed the local authorities, her heart racing as she prepared to explain the situation. "I found a young boy outside alone in the cold," she spoke clearly into the phone, her focus unwavering. "He looks to be about 7 years old and appears to have autism. I'm with him now, but I'm concerned for his safety." As she waited for the dispatcher to respond, she kept a watchful eye on Alex, who seemed to relax slightly in the warmth of her coat but still looked around nervously. She spoke softly to him, reassuring him that help was on the way. "They're going to come soon," Emily said gently. "You're doing great. It's okay to be scared." The dispatcher's voice broke through her thoughts, asking for her location and details about Alex's condition. Emily provided the necessary information while keeping her attention fixed on the little boy beside her. She could see he was still anxious but felt a slight shift in his demeanor, a flicker of hope and safety amid uncertainty. While waiting for help to arrive, Emily reminded herself of the importance of staying present for Alex. She encouraged him to talk about his favorite things, distracting him from the cold and anxiety creeping back into his expression. As they chatted about superheroes and games, she couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of empathy. This child had faced so much alone. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she spotted flashing lights approaching in the distance. Relief washed over her as she knew that soon Alex would be safe and that his journey toward healing could begin with understanding and support from those trained to help him further. Meanwhile, in the lavish mansion Alex had escaped from, the atmosphere of merriment abruptly shifted to panic once his parents noticed his absence. As guests mingled and laughter filled the air, a hushed realization swept through the room when the child's absence was made clear. Alex's mother, her elegant dress suddenly feeling heavy with dread, rushed to search the house's many rooms, while his father began calling out for him, their voices echoing helplessly against the marble walls. Within moments, panic set in as they turned away from their party, guilt intertwining with disbelief. "How could we let this happen?" his mother murmured, her heart racing as her mind flashed back to moments when Alex's needs had slipped through the cracks beneath their opulent lifestyle. "We should have paid more attention," she lamented, hardly able to reconcile her thoughts of wealth with her son's solitude. His father frantically dialed 911, his hands shaking as he fought against the rising tide of anxiety. "He shouldn't be out there alone, it's freezing," he exclaimed, face pale and drawn. There was a painful irony in their situation. The very fortune that provided them a luxurious home had also distanced them emotionally from their son, cultivating an environment where they believed financial stability equated to security and happiness. As news spread that Alex had wandered into the cold winter night, both parents' hearts sank under the weight of realization. True safety could not be bought. It required genuine connection and understanding. A lesson learned too late in a world thick with privilege yet devoid of emotional insight. As they waited together under the dim streetlights, Emily sensed a connection beginning to form with Alex. With the initial shock of their encounter fading, she focused on his eyes, wide and still filled with uncertainty, yet gradually softening as she spoke. "You know," she shared gently, "I used to be scared of loud places too, just like you, but I learned some tricks to feel better." Curiosity sparked in his gaze as he listened intently. Emily continued to share snippets about her own childhood and how she had learned to find comfort in familiar items and places. "Sometimes I would bring my favorite stuffed animal with me to feel safe," she said, hoping to relate her experiences to his. Encouraging him further, Emily asked about what made him happy. "What's your favorite game? Do you have a favorite superhero?" As she prompted him for answers, Alex hesitated at first but soon began to open up, revealing his love for a particular character from a popular animated series. She engaged him in light conversation about their adventures, her tone playful and inviting. With each word exchanged, the tension between them gradually dissipated. Emily could see Alex's posture start to relax slightly. He leaned into her comforting presence instead of shying away from it. In that moment, it became clear that empathy was bridging the gap created by fear and loneliness. As they shared this vulnerable space together on that cold night, Emily knew this bond would be crucial in helping him feel safe until help arrived, a testament to the healing power of connection even amidst darkness. As the blue and red lights of the police car pierced through the darkness, a sense of relief washed over Emily and Alex. Officers emerged from the vehicle, their expressions a blend of professionalism and caring, assessing the situation with swift efficiency. "Ma'am, are you all right?" one officer asked as he approached Emily, who quickly explained that she had found Alex alone in the cold. The officers reassured both of them with calm voices, kneeling to Alex's level just as Emily had done, understanding the importance of creating a safe environment. "Hey buddy, we're here to help you," another officer said gently while checking to ensure Alex was warm enough and offering him a comforting space away from the cold air. After confirming that Alex was unharmed but still anxious, they carefully introduced themselves. One officer took out a small notepad to jot down details while another kept an eye on Alex's immediate needs. Emily observed how seamlessly they wove compassion into their professionalism, every action designed to comfort and protect him in this critical moment. While one officer contacted Alex's parents to inform them of his safety, another listened attentively as Emily shared her own observations about his condition. Together they created a protective bubble around Alex, emphasizing that teamwork among professionals could make all the difference in vulnerable children's lives. In time, a faint anxiety eased from Alex's shoulders as he began to speak softly with one officer about his favorite superhero. The unity formed amongst those present highlighted that even amidst chaos, compassion and cooperation could transform fear into hope, a crucial foundation for future healing as they prepared to reunite him with his family. As Emily drove home after the incident, her mind was flooded with reflections on the night's events. The encounter with Alex had deeply affected her. She couldn't shake off the image of the frightened child, lost and alone, seeking comfort in a world he didn't feel part of. It struck her just how wealth could create a facade of security, yet could not address the deeper emotional needs of its most vulnerable members. She thought about Alex's parents, rich in material wealth but seemingly impoverished when it came to understanding their son's struggles. Their lavish lifestyle hadn't shielded them from guilt or helplessness when faced with the harsh reality that their child felt isolated amid opulence. She wondered how many others like Alex were out there, struggling in silence while their families remained distracted by the trappings of affluence. This realization reignited Emily's dedication to her work as a nurse, fueling her commitment to those who needed support and compassion most, especially children navigating emotional challenges. In an increasingly divided society, she understood that being wealthy didn't equate to being emotionally equipped or attentive. As she passed familiar streets, the events of the night reminded her of the fragility of connection. That simple bond forged between her and Alex had potential to transform fear into hope, highlighting the profound impact caring individuals can have on lives that often go unnoticed. With renewed purpose, she resolved to continue advocating for vulnerable children and offering them empathy as they navigated their own complex worlds, whatever their backgrounds may be. Emily's experience with Alex served as a powerful reminder of the urgent need for communities to engage actively in supporting children with autism and their families. As she thought about Alex's situation, she recognized that many children face similar struggles, often hidden beneath the surface of affluence or social distractions. She felt a strong call to action, to not only advocate for awareness but to encourage others to get involved. She envisioned local workshops, where parents and guardians could learn about the unique challenges faced by children on the autism spectrum, fostering understanding and compassion within their neighborhoods. These gatherings could serve as safe spaces for families to share their experiences, exchange ideas, and find solidarity in their journeys. Emily also imagined partnerships with schools, where educators receive training on effectively teaching and supporting students with special needs, ensuring every child has access to an inclusive environment. Community events focused on inclusion could facilitate friendships among children of all abilities, breaking down barriers and building connections early on. As she reflected on her mission, Emily realized that small actions could lead to significant change. Whether volunteering time at local organizations or simply reaching out to help a neighbor in need, everyone can play a role in creating an inclusive community where all children feel valued and understood. With renewed determination, she committed herself not only to her patients but also to raising awareness in her community, encouraging everyone to listen, learn, and engage actively in supporting those who may often go unnoticed. Together, they could light the way toward understanding and compassion for all children facing their unique challenges.